All right, let's dive in. Today, we're putting on our detective hats to investigate a molecule that might just be a secret weapon for one of our most precious senses, our sight. This is going to be a fun one. So, get this. Could an ingredient you probably associate with energy drinks really have a serious role in protecting our eyes? It sounds kind of wild, doesn't it? Well, that is the big question we're digging into today, and believe me, the answer is way more interesting than you might think.
Now, every good investigation starts with a mystery, a problem to solve. And in our case, it's a condition that affects millions of people, a lot of times without them even knowing it's happening. And that mystery has a name: glaucoma. Now, the main thing you need to know about it is that it's all about pressure. Too much pressure building up inside the eye. And that pressure can damage the optic nerve, which is basically the super important data cable that connects your eye to your brain. Here's a super simple way to think about it. Imagine your eye as a tire on a car. You need some air pressure in it, right? But if you pump way too much air in, the tire gets super tight and strained. If you leave it like that, over time, you're going to cause some real damage. That's pretty much what's happening inside the eye with glaucoma.
Okay, so we've got our mystery. We understand the problem. Now it's time to introduce the main clue in our case, this one single molecule that scientists are looking at very closely.
And here it is. Our lead suspect is a molecule called taurine. Yeah, you've probably heard of it before, but today, we're not just talking about energy drinks. We are following the evidence to see what this thing actually does inside our eyes.
So what's the big deal with taurine? What can it actually do? Well, our investigation has turned up 4 key skills, 4 specific superpowers, if you will, that taurine seems to have when it comes to eye health. And this is where it gets really cool.
We're going to break down the evidence one piece at a time. We'll look at how it acts like an antioxidant shield, a protector for your nerves, a master plumber for your cells, and even a guardian for the very cells that let you see light. So let's jump in with skill number 1. First up is taurine's incredible ability to act like a personal bodyguard for your eye cells, protecting them from a very specific and very nasty kind of damage.
Okay, our eyes are constantly under attack from something called oxidative stress. What on earth is that? Well, the easiest way to picture it is as cellular rust. You know how rust makes metal weak and crumbly? This stuff does the same thing to the delicate cells in your eye. But taurine? It steps in like a can of rust-proofer, helping to clean up those damaging molecules and shielding the cells from future harm. Pretty neat, huh?
Okay, on to the next skill. Taurine isn't just a shield. It also works as a kind of bouncer for your nerve cells, making sure they don't get too rowdy and burn themselves out.
The fancy science term is excitotoxicity, but you can just forget that. Instead, picture this. It's like a party in your nerve cells that gets completely out of control. The music's too loud, everyone's shouting, and it just never stops. For a little while it's fun, but eventually everyone just gets exhausted and things start breaking. Taurine is the one who steps in and gently calms the party down before it causes real damage.
And here's how it does it. In your retina, you've got molecules like glutamate. Think of them as the party starters. They get the nerve cells all excited. Then, you've got GABA and glycine. They're the calm down crew, the ones telling everyone to just relax a bit. Taurine plays the perfect host, making sure there's just the right balance between the party starters and the calm down crew. It keeps everything in harmony.
All right, for our third piece of evidence, we're swapping our party hat for a plumber's wrench, because it turns out taurine is also an absolute expert at managing the fluid levels inside your cells.
It's really pretty simple. Your cells need the perfect amount of fluid to work right. Not too much, not too little. This delicate balancing act is called osmoregulation, and taurine is a key player, acting like a master plumber to make sure the fluid pressure inside each cell is always just right. And that brings us to our fourth and final skill. This one is maybe the most important of all, because it's about protecting the very cells that literally let you see the world.
That's right, taurine is absolutely essential for the health of your photoreceptors. These are the super specialized cells in your retina that actually detect light and color. Without them working happily, vision just doesn't happen. Taurine helps keep these incredibly important cells in tip-top shape.
So Al, we've seen taurine act as a rust-proofer, a party host, a master plumber, and a guardian. It sounds amazing, right? But now it's time for the verdict. And I'm going to be serious for a minute, because this is without a doubt the most important part of this whole investigation. So please listen very carefully.
Let me say that again just to be crystal clear. While all this research is super fascinating, taurine is not, I repeat,
not an FDA-approved treatment for glaucoma. This is not a cure, it is not a magic bullet, and it is not a replacement for proper medical care. And this right here is the #1 takeaway, the only takeaway that truly matters. This whole thing is for educational purposes, to get you curious. But before you ever think about changing your diet or taking a supplement, you absolutely must speak with a qualified healthcare professional. Your doctor is the only person who should ever give you medical advice, period. Look, the science we've talked about today is incredibly promising, and it opens up all sorts of exciting questions for researchers. But the real power for you is using this knowledge to ask better questions and have smarter conversations about your own health with the people who know best, your doctors.
And that's the thought I really want to leave you with today. This entire deep dive started with a simple, common molecule. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing secrets about keeping our bodies healthy and strong are just waiting to be discovered, hiding right there in plain sight? Thanks so much for joining me on this investigation.